Okay, this is the summary of the first Maimer Parshas Mishpatim, which begins on Daf Ayin Daled Amud Beis. The Alter Rebbe begins by pointing out a grammatical inconsistency in the opening line of the Parsha that says, "These are the Mishpatim that I placed before all of you," and then it uses the singular of "you will acquire an Eved," and it goes on to describe that this is a reference to Moshe Rabbeinu. He maps out that there are different types of neshamas, those that are more intuitively aware of Hashem. They are called the Zera Adam, and those they come from the level of Atzilus, which are the rarest of the rare. And then there are the most of us whose neshamas are less naturally spiritually sensitive. They are called Zera Behema. And the difference is the clarity of understanding. That just like a person understands something so well that it animates everything about them, and they can never be shaken from it. Doesn't use this example, but it's like when I learn how to read. So if you remember when you're a child, you're stumbling over the sounding out of the letters, but then you have that skill of reading and you just see it immediately and you can't sort of unlearn it. That's an absolute awareness that is comparable to visually seeing it. You see what I mean? Like we even say that in English, and we have brought other examples of that from Torah. And this is that type of clarity. Most of us, though, don't have that type of clarity. We have a clarity that's comparable to something you've heard about. Do you hear what I mean? It's somewhat limited, and that's a quality that is comparable to like the animal. An animal can be trained, it can have experience, but it doesn't have that kind of awareness. And the goal is to try to bring that degree of awareness into even those with the less sensitive neshamas. And this is what Moshe Rabbeinu achieves. For Moshe Rabbeinu was described as a roya neman, a trusted shepherd. Not only that he can, like a shepherd, maintain the flock, more so like a teacher or instructor who inspires the flock with his characteristic. So when we call him the trusted shepherd, he is the shepherd who instills trust in his flock. He brings that quality of das, that connection, even to the most ordinary and less sensitive neshamas. And this is that quality of connecting chachma through the quality of das, which means to be absolutely unified. Then we went on to do some analysis of the difference between the angels, who in practice are, or in the tangible manifestation, are more aligned naturally with Hashem, yet in their essence are less so. And that's why they are dependent on us to say Kadosh, for them to say Kadosh, and we are dependent on them. Kulam ke'echad, we all come together in this mutual benefit to evoke this awareness within ourselves and within the angels. The part that we have ended is on Ayin Hey Amud Beis in the middle of the right-hand column. We're on Daf Ayin Hey Amud Beis in the middle. The Alter Rebbe is now able to return back to the idea of the Mishpatim, and Mishpatim meaning the laws, the halachas, and like the word halach also means to progress, that we should be able to continue to move forward. And this is made possible by the gift of Moshe Rabbeinu, who brings a level of das that is out of our capacity to reach, is out of this created world, and he brings it into this world to transport us. Then there's a one-paragraph mimer where the Alter Rebbe explains the idea of acquisition. In contrast to creation, we find that Hashem is referred to both as the creator of heaven and earth and as the acquirer of heaven and earth. And the question is, what is the difference between these two characteristics? And then we explain that a creator creates something from nothing, something brand new, whereas in acquisition, the matter is simply transferred from seller to buyer. So it's a level that is much more profound that Hashem can bring. Then there's another mimer that starts on the bottom of the page that's based on the term, the 6 years you shall work. And we explain that those 6 years are a reference to the 6,000 years when we have the opportunity to decipher the halacha, like cleansing a sheep to make it white as milk, or like working with leather to transform it from the hard, gruff cow skin into the buttery, soft leather that from whence we make shoes and belts and so on and so forth. And this capacity gives us that the ability that even if we are like behemoths, even if we are like animals, we can become sensitized and infused with this characteristic of godliness. The Alter Rebbe there makes reference to the end of chapter 46 in Tanya, where we quote the pasuk that even though we were like animals, we were always with you. And the Alter Rebbe gives some detailed explanation about the difference between the description of animals there as well as in this mimer. We also talked about an explanation on it about the Mishpatim and how it impacts those neshamas that are more animalistic. And again, the term animal isn't meant as an insult. It's the idea that we're only human, Homo sapien, versus those neshamas that are more like Adam. And it describes some of the differences between them and how even those neshamas that are naturally in the state of animal can also be sensitized with das, and that there's two levels within das. There's the das that lifts us up to the infinite, and there's the das that's very pragmatically oriented around shaping and maturing our behavior. And that Moshe Rabbeinu is the one who was able to bring this characteristic into the Jewish people, even those people whose character is more naturally aligned with the animalistic character based on the origin of their neshama.